Hi, I'm Lauren Berman, Sunshine Coast. Everything you see is built of beechwood, beech timber, some dimensional lumber and plywood, but mostly what's been salvaged off the beach, or doors that have been, from recycled doors, recycled windows. And everything you see was completely evolved in an organic way, meaning there was never a plan, never a drawing. The path and the steps and the little planters and the little walkways and so forth, just all developed based on usage, just based on natural usage. So let me take you on a little walk. In the summertime, I'm pretty well self-sufficient on the solar panels. In the winter time, I'm pretty well self-sufficient on the water, from the water wheel. Both summer and winter, to some small degree, are backed up by a windmill. But I don't ever want to portray this as a completely self-sufficient home, in that there is some natural gas backup when I need it. But I can go sometimes, 2 or 3 weeks, a month, and that generator will not come on. And if it does come on, it just might be for a few hours, or maybe a couple of times for a few hours in a couple of weeks, So the reason I can do that and still have a dishwasher in there, and still have a clothes washer, and still have, the so-called things of modern living, and still run it on solar panels, is because everything is so-called energy efficient. But mostly it's about eco-awareness. It's about being conscious that when you turn a light on, enjoy it. Just make sure it's an energy efficient one. But when you leave and you're done, turn it off. You don't have to live in a dark house. You just have to be aware that you can't just have lights on everywhere. You realize that a stereo playing music uses a certain amount of power, but that same stereo not playing music uses almost the same amount of power. And unless you can instruct everybody in the house, hey, done listening to music? Great, turn off the stereo. But even turning off the stereo isn't quite enough, because anything that you buy nowadays has a little remote, and the remote control doesn't turn on an off stereo. It just wakes up a sleeping stereo or TV or whatever. This house, I have every luxury that I could want. Comfort, warmth, music, computer, internet, even a dishwasher. Whoever would have thought when I began all this that I would ever even want or need or think about even possibly having a dishwasher? But as the years went by, and as that eco-consciousness, especially coming out of Europe, began to make available products that a person could use in this kind of a house, I now have a dishwasher that uses such a small amount of water and such a small amount of electricity. It just uses the heat of the hot water to wash the dishes, to dry the dishes, without adding any electrical heat whatsoever. This is the heart of the winter power trip. So all that water from that pond, all of that water collected from pipes, ditches, culverts, and the pond, come down the hill through a 4-inch pipe. This is the terminus of the 4-inch pipe. It eventually gets into these smaller pipes, but in the height of winter, this thing here is spinning around, and it's producing a very small amount of current, but 24 hours a day. Whereas in summer, I'm getting the solar panel activation, but only for what? The daylight hours. So I get better energy from the solar panels in terms of what's coming in, but not all day. Here I get less energy, but I do get it all day. Out here, this is the third bit of technology that's based on permanent magnets. That's the windmill, obviously. You might get a real good winter storm, and that thing will turn and generate tons of power. But what, for a few hours? It might go 2, 2, 3, 3, 5, 5, 7, 9, 11, 20, 20, 20, 2, 2, 2, 2, and that's how it goes. It just buffets. So it's a nice touch, it's a nice addition, but it's not the answer for this part of the coast. Water is the answer. Yeah, the combination works. So this is actually a pyramid built of recycled materials, and it's sort of like a wooden tent where a person can come in and camp out and, you know, do what they need to do in a pyramid. Now this is actually a gift from a person who had it in Roberts Creek, and they said to me, Lauren, if you can get it to your property, you can have it. And that's exactly what I did. I brought it in here and perched it here, and it's become a favorite place for people to sort of come out sleeping in the summer. And you know, and it's a pyramid. It's a full-on pyramid. It's dry as a bone. It's made completely of recycled materials from the ground up. Now what we do is every time we do any clearing up and cleaning up, we berm everything. We put everything over the edge and berm it, and then when we have finer material like leaves, we put it on top, and eventually you'll be able to stand out here and walk on it. So this whole edge of the property, the areas we just walked on, were just emptiness, but I've been berming and berming for years. No burning, just berming. So each year we just keep on adding and adding and adding, and then eventually we'll throw a little grass seed on and keep on extending outward. In all of the things that I've done here over the years, including the house below, there hasn't been a living tree that's come down for it. The whole house down below is built from logs off the beach that were just left there as rejects. And all the lumber is right off the beach, just driftwood. And some dimensional lumber, plywood. There is some, but most of it is just salvaged from the beach. This was the roof line of the original house. This here, what you see here, was the original house, and this was the ceiling. When we built the addition, all the leftover stuff, even the plastic bags that held the insulation, all of that stuff got stuffed into the walls. Birds could fly through the walls here. You know, the place was just wide open, and this was my home. But when we did the insulation, we took all the scrap wood, all the leftover stuff, raised the roof, made a loft up there that people love to stay in and sleep, stuffed the walls with bits of insulation and plastic bags that were left over. And now we have this lovely tight little shed. And again, it's all driftwood. And it works like a hot dam, you know, little wood heater. The whole house was basically just supposed to be a temporary shelter, a cabin. It was like a refuge. As I had purchased the property, I had to leave the rental I was in. I needed to do something, so we built a 20 by 20 cabin. The 20 by 20 cabin was just basically a square cabin with the corners cut off, plywood floor, logs off the beach that the salvagers just left and, you know, didn't seem to be interested in, and timbers, like all these stairs, for example, and just everything you see here was just timbers off the beach. Even the hardwood floor in the house is a piece of the former UBC Thunderbird gym, you know, after they tore it up. And part two was everything you see here, and from that part two, different stairways and pathways and walkways evolved to create the next level, the next step. Here, for example, this is the kind of stuff I have to watch. I now know that at this moment I've got a 13-volt charge on the batteries, but with inverters nowadays that produce energy that is so clean and so pure, I can run this washer, for example, 10 years later, I'm still running this washer. There was no intention of having some sort of a sustainable place, all eco-aware. These are single glaze windows. They're all used windows from a used window place. We built the house around the available windows because it was, you know, ready to go. But it wasn't intended to be some well-insulated place. I mean, we don't live in some really cold climate. It was just a cabin on the beach. But from that cabin on the beach, what has evolved is what you see here, you know, the solar panels and the windmills and the whole 9 yards.